We are here today on the show. Say hi, Sandra. Sandra, my sidekick, is here today.
Hello, everybody.
We are here today with Nashville recording artist, and she's also a SAG member. If a lot of people don't know what a SAG is, that's one of them fancy dancy names for them people out there in California that like to act in movies and commercials and stuff like that. Erin Cosgrove is on the show today. Yay!
Yay!
How you
Yes!
doing, Erin?
I'm doing it good.
Or
How
should
are
I say
you?
Nicole Kidman? You have the red hair. Should I say Nicole Kidman instead?
No, no, no.
No. Oh, okay, that's right. You're better than Nicole Kidman, right?
Oh, I mean,
Oh, it's the truth comes out. So,
I'm not doing
I've
anything.
known you for a couple years. We got a chance to interview you a couple years ago. Sandra has known you for a little bit, and this is her first time with you interviewing. But you've been on our top 20 countdown for a while. Matter of fact, we're getting ready to start our top 20 countdown again in April. But you have new music coming out March 15th. Tell us a little bit about that.
I've kind of been hanging on to this song for a little bit just because the timing's really wasn't right. I wrote this song last year on March 15th for my wedding. Actually, I wrote it for my now husband. And I actually surprised him and the entire wedding party at the wedding and played the song. So nobody knew about it. No one had any idea, but that was kind of my present to him. And then we have a music video for it, which is pretty much my wedding in a nutshell for the music video, which also comes out on March 15th. So you kind of get the double whammy package there. You get the song and you get to kind of see why and like how it all went down, how cool it was, and all that good jazz. So thank you, Scotty McLean, for the inspiration.
And
Oh, that's so cute.
you're
That's so
also
cute.
going to be
I love
doing
that you have your husband in
you're
it.
doing a music video too, right? For it, has is
So
it finished or you guys are working on it?
no, no, no. So the music video was shot at the wedding.
Okay, okay, so it is. It's the music video is part of the wedding. Okay, and yes,
Yeah.
I tried to make the wedding, but I just couldn't get out there. But
Uh,
yeah,
I know.
I was kind of hoping it was gonna be this way in Florida. Where it's nice and warm and we got sandy beaches. Well, I know California is. I just don't like California because there's too many earthquakes. I don't like earthquakes.
Yeah, I don't either. Those scare me.
So why see? It's just something about when you're standing there and the ground just opens up underneath your feet. That's just not right.
Or you feel like you're on a boat and you're getting motion sickness because your house is like the ocean.
Is that the way it feels all the time or just during an earthquake?
Just during an earthquake. It's so the last one we had back in July. Um, no joke, it lasted for about a minute, which is a very long quake,
Wow.
and it was, I want to say it was like a 5 point something, and it had different kinds, and
Hmm.
this one was called a roller. So it literally looks like if you were to take rollers and like go over the earth with like maybe like cylinder with rollers, like a
Right.
rolling pin.
Hmm.
That's kind of what it feels like. And it literally feels like you are on a boat and it's moving, and that's what your house and the ground feels like. I
Wow.
had many people tell me, in addition to what I was saying, that they all got seasick too for a minute. I was like, okay, is the ground done moving? Someone to throw up over here.
Wow.
It
And
was it was wild.
well, and of course we've had a couple here just outside of Florida. I've always told people, and they don't realize it, but most Floridians don't realize this. There is a fault line 30 miles off the coast of Florida, which stretches
Yeah, I
out, yeah,
know.
New Smyrna Beach, Cape Canaveral, out that way, and that's why we've had three big ones. All centered around what was it, Puerto Rico, and down there, near the islands and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't they don't realize it, but yeah, we've got earthquakes here in Florida too. Of course, we have little minute ones, but we never feel them. But I
Right.
always say them. If you take a map, of course, a lot of people don't even know what a map is anymore. But if you unfold a map and you take, I'm serious. You laugh, but there's a lot of people that don't know. If you take the lines on a map and follow the lines that go horizontally, or see, horizontals, no, up and down, diagonally. If you take the lines that go
Right.
diagonally up and down every so many inches on that map, that's actually where the fault lines are at in on the map in the world. So you got the San Andreas Fault, and then you come over, believe it or not, the Mississippi River that runs from the Ohio Valley all the way down to New Orleans. That's a fault line. And then you got the
Interesting.
yeah, and then you got one that runs through the middle of Alabama and Florida, and then you got the one that's off the coast of off the Florida here over here in Cape Canaveral. So yeah, it's yeah. I should have been a geologist, or I should have been a meteorologist. I should have been a meteorologist. That's what I should have been.
There you go. There's your next profession.
I know, right? So, tell us. Okay, we know about you got the single coming out. What's been going on? I know you've been busy. Tell us a little about your acting career. Now, how does that work? Do you try to integrate that with your music stuff too, or you try to keep it separately, or what? How's that working? Because it seems like you got the best of both worlds, right?
I mean, that's kind of yeah. Usually, sometimes you're kind of like, well, this isn't working, but most of the time it's cool because I can go on auditions. I have my agent who sends me on those, in LA, and go on commercial auditions and film auditions, and I enjoy doing that. And then I can go also and sit in the studio and record with my producer up here in Mountain Oaks, and it's a lot of the times they don't overlap. There are times though where I'll have a session scheduled, then I'll have to go to an audition, or I'll book a job, and then I'll have to cancel the session and move it, and it can get a little hairy. But I kind of like it. I think it's more of a challenge. It's kind of fun. You can do both.
Did you ever want to be an actor, or what was your first choice? Was it acting, or was it musician?
It was acting for sure.
Acting, acting. See, I
Acting.
know how to spell it. Acting. So acting was
um,
your first choice. Who's your?
Actually, it wasn't. It was actually music. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, fun story, a little backstory. I went to the University of South Florida for college,
Hmm.
and I was in a national show choir in high school, and I would perform, and we'd go travel, and you know, one time we actually got to go and perform in Nashville on the Grand Ole Opry stage, and I did have a solo. I didn't realize the significance of it at the time because I was like 15. But we got to do some pretty insane and really interesting things with music when I was younger. So I thought, I wanted to do that in college. Definitely wasn't the same, and fortunately, kind of had this adversity toward even wanting to do music at all after I graduated college.
Hmm.
Um, there's just no freedom. There was people telling you what to do, and I didn't want to do that because that's not what my intent was. I really was to be a teacher, which is nothing wrong with that. But that's not what my goal was. My goal was to be a performer. And
Right.
I actually used to work at Shrines during college,
Right.
and I was working professionally, and my teacher didn't like that. He failed me. And I'm like, wait, I'm confused. I thought the whole point was to be successful and to make money and to perform, not like, yeah, I don't know. It was really weird. So for a little while, I didn't want to do any type of music. I started taking acting classes in Florida, and a lot of my friends moved out here from Florida who were directors and producers that I went to high school with.
Right.
And they're like, well, why don't you come out and try this? I was like, well, what is this? Sounds like fun. They're like acting. I was like, I guess it's kind of the same, industry, kind of the same idea of music. So I took some acting classes. I moved out here. I got an agent and landed a couple co-star roles, and I was like, okay, this is fun. I don't mind doing this.
Well,
And then I realized that I still love music, so I taught myself to play the guitar, and I started doing some writing, started to go to some writing sessions, and really enjoy.
well,
So
you do know we got a connection in New York. Just in case you ever decide you wanted to go to the Grammys or something like that. That way we can get you a front row seat, and maybe one day you'll get that Grammy award. Up there in New York. What do you think, Sandra? You think we can help her out with that?
I think so. We can make that happen.
that would be fun. Well, my producer won a Grammy, so I'm hoping that I follow in his footsteps.
Definitely. Is this
He's
the
got
same
one.
producer that you worked on your current single "Perfect Place to Start with"? Is this the same person?
Yeah, so he did Tennessee Live for me, which came out last year, and he also did the Perfect Place to Start. which we recorded late last year, and because I used it for the wedding, so I wanted to have it done. But I didn't release it until 2020 because it just made more sense. But yeah, he's a big part of both of those songs. And, some of the inspiration for them, and just when we're in the studio and getting ready to write on the tracks, he'll throw some cool stuff in there. And I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. Like, thank you so much for.
Yeah, and that's awesome that you kind of like worked a video around it, kind of like Dan and Shay with From the Ground Up, to kind of like they incorporated their personal stories of their wedding within that song. So it's kind of cool that you're kind of playing off on that. I think that's a really smart choice to do, to kind of do that, because everyone's always wanting that personal story of the person. So I think that's really good that you're doing that.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun, and we enjoyed, kind of making it. Like, there are definitely some things that are like, okay, you can do that again. I'm like, oh, okay, we're like in a studio right now. Like, this is no wedding. This is acting shoot. But I don't think the song would have been set to anything other than that. I don't think it would have made sense, for at least me personally, to have a video that didn't have that incorporated into it, because that's solely what it was about. So it kind of just fits for me. I think it'll work once you guys see it, once everybody watches it in a couple weeks. So
yeah, and it's nice because a lot of people are not like open to like kind of exposing their personal life like that. At least I see a lot in like pop world, they don't do that, but I noticed a lot of country artists really like to put their personal life in a music video, like Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani. So it's kind of nice to see that a lot of people are willing to do that, whereas a lot of people want to kind of keep their personal life personal and not kind of in your face out there. So but that's cool that like you're giving everyone a taste of who your husband is, and like your wedding day, which is obviously one of the most special days of your life. So it's kind of nice that you're doing that. Kudos to that. I love that.
Thanks. And honestly, with what you just said, it's actually kind of been a struggle with allowing myself to kind of be vulnerable in that sense, just because of how the industry is so, this is what you have to be, this is what you have to do. Like, you can't have a husband. What does that even mean? Like, you have to be single and be available, and you have to look and act a certain way. And it was interesting for 2020. And there was some ups and downs for me for 2019, and 2020 I kind of took a step back, and I was just like, I'm so tired of trying to be this perfect image. Oh, well, this is who I am. Like, oh, I'm not married. Like, there was even some times where I wouldn't wear my wedding ring on stage, because you get people who are jerks still, and that's what they want to see someone single. They want to see that attraction. And now I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, you know what? If you're not going to hire me to my wedding ring on, you're not going to hire me to do good work and to be a singer and to be a performer, which is what I am, why are you hiring me? What is it that you're really wanting? Is there some underlying reason? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I kind of had enough. So I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm just going to share my truth here. And so if you don't like what I'm posting, and you don't like that I offended you, then guess what? You can unfollow me. It's your choice to follow me. It's not my choice to deal with you and follow you. It's your choice to follow me. And if you like what I believe, and if you like what I stand for, and you like who I am, that's awesome. If you don't, you can go follow somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I'm sure that
for me, it's been a new eye.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that the same battle has happened. Like what you're talking about is what's happened with a lot of artists. Case in point, the Jonas Brothers, who clearly wore purity rings when they were younger, and they had to they were pretty upfront and honest about that. But at the same time, you're working with a company who is very whoa, you need to go through us and let us know what you're doing. Whereas they were very open about that, and especially I'm sure people like Luke Bryan, I'm sure they were just like, this guy's married, but, we prefer that he was single because he's a nice one to look at. And, and I get it. Those are all the fine lines of the record labels. But, sometimes you need to make a little bit of a change because people, they have lives. That's why all three Jonas Brothers rather walked away from everything and said, we need a break. And they all got married, and now they have lives, they have children, and now they're ready to go back out there and do what they do. It's a whole other, story. And I think either people are going to choose to do that, they will. You should have the right to do that. Whereas,
it is changing, and I'm very happy that people yeah, people are now finally accepting it. I think a little bit more. It's still tough, just because, like you said, they do want this particular image, and they want to be able to market you, and they're putting their money forth and all this good stuff. It's just, how many attendants can you really take at the end of the day?
Exactly. Exactly. And speaking of image and the thoughts of what other people think of you, what are your thoughts? Because I've been asking a lot of females in country radio right now. What are your thoughts about everybody and this 50-50 airplay on country radio and how CMT is playing a lot more females and trying to split the female and the male dudes? What are your thoughts on that?
I I'm not okay. So I am very. I believe that's actually 100% should be the case. My thing is, and it has nothing to do with male or female. For me, it's about song quality. So I don't necessarily like. There are some songs that guys write that are horrible, and there are some girls write that are also horrible. So for me, I would love to see everyone equally on the radio, because I think we get kind of stuck into this box. It sucks because if you look at the charts, it's a 9-to-1 ratio for male to female for
Yep.
country.
Yep.
It's kind of insane actually. I really didn't realize it until just recently. And but the thing I actually have been noticing is I think female songs are actually getting better and more enjoyable to listen to. Because I personally, about 5 years ago, I really didn't care for a lot of the songs that these female artists were putting out. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that was also a big part of it, because people wanted to hear a certain sound, whether that be a male voice or a female voice. And I think the songs that the female voices were, you know, coming out, like the female voices were singing, were not that same tune. They weren't that same like ear pleasing sound that some of these songs that these male artists are writing. But what I've noticed now, it's not even so much whether it's a male or a female. There's a certain sound that is and I've been told this by producers, there's a certain sound that's a hit song versus a sound that's not a hit song. And that's how they actually can determine it, which is I think is
Mm.
kind of insane. There's nothing to do with the notes. It's just a certain progression and a certain hook in every song. And I've noticed very recently, and I'm very excited about it, because I recently opened for Daniel Bradbury, and I love her. She's one of my all-time favorites.
Mm. Love her too.
I got to meet her, I got to chat with her, and she was incredible. And one of the things she did recently, she kind of did the whole, like, I'm going to write whatever I want kind of thing as well. And some of the stuff
Mm-hmm.
that she just wrote on her own is so good.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's and Lauren Elena's got some great stuff out there now.
Yep.
Kelsey Ballerini just came out with Homecoming Queen. I mean, that song, it speaks it speaks mountains. Like, the songs that they're coming out with today, you know, they're good. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's why people are becoming a little bit more accepting and wanting, to see females on the charts, because they're like, oh, this is actually a really good song. It's like, yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
it should have been that way regardless. But it's, for me, I'm a very like I nitpick, and I'm a perfectionist, which is very hindering as well as a
Mm-hmm.
performer. But I do notice that when something's good, it's good, and it's the stuff we're seeing now is good, and I really think that's going to continue, and we're going to see more and more female artists on the charts, and we're going to see more quality versus some of these crappy songs these guys are coming out with now. So it's
Exactly.
definitely, the tables are totally turning, and I'm very excited about it. So that's
Yeah,
my
definitely.
thought.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
have a tendency to agree with you a little bit, but maybe disagree, because I had this was probably a few years back, maybe 2 years ago, that I had the DJ that plays at one of the biggest country clubs here in Central Florida, in Orlando. And I asked him, I says, what's the difference in as far as the gigs go when they bring male or female? Because I said, I'm looking to book a female artist, or at least try to help her. And she was well known. She's been well. She was more big back in the late '80s, early '90s, but she's still going now, and everybody knows her. Everybody know who she is. And he tells me flat out. He says, Greg, he said they probably will not even book her. I says, why? Tell me why. He says, well, because for one thing, what these venues do is it's not about the music. It's about the fact that if you got a guy on stage that can carry a tune at least halfway decent and looks good in a pair of boots, hat, and jeans, they're going to book them first before they book the females because of it's a twofold. One, they're going to bring the girls out to see the guy that's on stage, and then they're going to bring their boyfriend. So, and they're trying to sell alcohol. You know, they're trying to make money as far as for the venue wise and stuff like that. So, me, as far as venues go and music, I think the venues they don't even want to pay. They don't even want to pay the artists that because they feel that some of these artists ain't used to it. I mean, we've talked about this before. Florida has gotten to the point where they're real bad about music in general when it comes to booking anybody because none of the venues want to pay any of the artists.
Well, that's everywhere. It's not just Florida. It's getting bad here too. I do agree with you though, Greg, in terms of the guys wanting to come see or the girls wanting to come see the hot guy on stage, and then they're bringing their boyfriends or husbands or whatever with them. And to make a good point, I asked Shane, my husband, about 2 or 3 years ago the same question. I was like, why don't you want to just, actually, when I had some merchandise, I said, would you buy this? And he was just like, no, I wouldn't. I was like, well, why not? Like, it's a great logo. Like, it's a good shirt. Like, why wouldn't you wear this? He's like, because it's being an artist. I was like, but who cares? He's like, if I'm going to wear anything, it's going to be like a very generic logo. He's like, it's not necessarily even going to be an artist. He's like, but I'm not going to go buy a ticket to go see Carrie Underwood. He's like, I love her. I think she's sick.
Right.
But I wouldn't spend money on her music. It's because the guys, for some reason, don't. There's some kind of like weird disconnect. Whereas I think the female talent only attracts females, and money or females that are going to pay money to go see a lot of these artists, the females, and the guys only want to go see guy artists, and then the girls are like, oh well, he's hot, like I like him, I'll go with you. Yeah. So I do agree. Like that is part of the problem. It is changing now. I really, really, truly believe that we're getting into an era where you're not seeing that as much. Thank God, because
Right. Well,
it's hard.
and see, here's another thing too that you can think about it this way too. Me personally, I would rather I'm going to support the females 100% because first of all, I'm a mama's boy. I'll tell everybody that right now. Anybody that's listening, I am a mama's boy. Second of all, if you get a good rapport with the female artists of the world and they become big, I'm telling you, they're going to remember you because you treated them good. You treated them well, you respected them, and you took care of them when they needed to, instead of being a dirtbag to them and just thinking, oh, you're a female, you're not going to make it, and yada yada stuff like that. You wanna, as they say, don't crap where you eat, basically, because you want to take care of your artist. Even in radio, the radio stations and stuff like that. I've seen and I've heard a lot of major radio stations will treat some of these artists like crap just because they either ain't gotten good music or they just don't look the part or whatever. But yet they'll turn around just because these other record labels, these big labels, will spend thousands and thousands of dollars on these radio stations just to play this artist 3 or 4 times in an hour. And it's like, come on, you're wearing down their digital play. Why do you want to play their song 3 or 4 times in an hour when people get tired of hearing the same song all the time? So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a money game. It's a money game. It has to do with sex sells because that phrase sex sells has been around since the early 40s and 50s. Ever since
Thank you, Hefner.
well, no, it has. Ever since Betty Page came along and did her thing, it is, and that's unfortunately that's just the way it is.
Right. Yeah. I feel like I think a lot of females are. That's why they're all kind of coming together to really, really come together in such a sense. Like, for example, Karen Underwood had all females on her tour. So she had Runaway June and she had Maddie and Tay on her 360 tour. And then she switched it up and had all females. So I think the females are trying to really just stick together and be like, listen, and I get I get the media based charts every Monday and I see how many people of all those top 50 songs are females, and it's really low. It's really low.
Yeah. It is,
And unfortunately, it comes to the programming directors. I fully blame 110%. I fully blame the programming directors because these are the people who choose what goes
What
on
you're
station.
listening to.
You know,
Yeah.
if you want to make a change and really kind of please the best of both worlds, put a little bit of everything. Put a little bit of the old school music, like throw in like
And
Elvis
they're doing
Presley
it
song or
here,
something like that.
Canada.
You know what I mean? Like I get a lot of older people who listen to country music too, and they're like, well, they don't play George Strait. And I was like, but they're not going to. You know what I mean? And it all, yes, it depends on the market, but you have to keep in mind you have a variety of people listening to your station where you have to compete with the Spotify's and Pandora's of the world, where you could just change to whatever artist you want. You know, and I think that's where the problem is coming in, why people are siding more with Spotify and Pandora instead of choosing that FM radio. And, you know, radio needs to shape up or ship out because that's exactly what's happening
Well,
right now.
and
You know, like
well, the
support
reason
people,
the
you
reason
know?
because of that too is because the target market for radio right now is between 15 and 24 years of age. If you have a 15 through 18-year-old that's sitting there wanting to listen to music and they want to plug in their iPads because they're traveling with their parents somewhere or they're playing their video games, their parents are going to make sure them kids has got that music on their iPads or Spotify or iTunes because they don't want to hear them griping and complaining while they're on a long trip or yada yada yada. It's a parent thing. It keeps the kids entertained. That's
Busy.
why, yeah,
Yeah.
that's why they market. That's why they target that age group. Once you get, and of course the college kids, the 20 to 24s, that's just college. Me because you got the beach, you got the DJs at the college parties, the fraternities, the sororities, stuff like that. That's what college kids are looking for. They figure by the time you hit 24, 25, you're ready to settle down and you're ready to start a family. Well, not, I've seen a lot of 50s and 60s that still party like they're in their 20s. But yeah, that's just the way the market is, and they don't want to target old country music because it's not feasible to them. It doesn't make it's all about money, 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 money. Back in the days, and
Mm,
they still do this in like England and Germany and France and stuff like that. Over in the old country, they still do this to where they let the DJs on the radio play what they want to, because that's what the listeners want to hear, not because of the record labels because they're paying the stations money. That's because that's what the listeners want to hear. See, now back in the day, it used to be like that here in the 40s and 50s when you had Elvis Presley and Patsy Cline walking the streets, going to different and driving to different radio stations throughout, California or Nashville or whatever, getting their records to them and say, hey, can you play this? Listen to this. If the DJ liked it, he was going to play it. He didn't have to go to his producer or station manager and say, hey, can we play this guy? Are we getting enough money? Or this lady, are we getting enough money? From their labels to play this and this. See, it wasn't like that back then. So yeah, ultimately, it's not so much the producer, it's the station, it's the manager, whoever's in charge, whoever's getting that paycheck from that record label or that management company for that artist. That's where the ultimate. That's where the actually the last. That's where the buck stops. Basically, that's where the
Yep.
ultimate say so comes from.
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
Exactly. That's why, like, when I see independent artists like you, Erin, it's just like it just irks me and drives me more to want to do what I do because I've been to radio stations where they've had an entire dumpster of your CDs in that dumpster, and they don't want it. They won't give you the time of day, but I'll be that little lone wolf who will dive in that dumpster and grab every single one of those Erin Cosgrove albums or whoever it is, and I will dig them out and I will keep them for my darn self because I know they don't want it, but I'll take it. So,
Yeah, I mean,
and if
eventually,
I could do something, then I will go above and beyond to do whatever I can. I'm not in the position, I'm not a billionaire where I can make a change in radio or whatever the case may be or play those little artists, but I mean, if I can do anything that I can with my platform and what I do and where I'm at right now, then hey, I should if I could.
That's
And
awesome.
I can.
That's awesome. Good for you.
You have to. You have to.
Thanks for
Come
sticking
on.
up for the little man.
We have to. We all got to stick together,
Or
and
the
then
or the
hopefully
little
someday
woman,
we'll all
or
just
the little
win.
woman, as they say.
Well,
it's
yeah, I mean, I'm not real tall, so.
It's yeah, it's gonna
Exactly.
come down to it where the artist is gonna they're gonna produce their music, they're gonna market their own music, they're gonna manage their own music, and they're gonna sell it at their own shows. They're not gonna put it out in the Kmart's or the Walmart's and stuff like that because they have no control over it because the record labels are gonna do what they want to do. So I think it's gonna come down to it to where the individual artist is gonna take control of their music basically.
Mhm.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we kind of already have. It's just what I'm finding is that it all still comes down to money
Right.
because
Yeah.
I can get my song on, all these different platforms, and like I have a PR person right now I'm working with, and she's not cheap, and it's all a game, and I wish I could say, yeah, like I can put my music here, I can put it on Spotify, I can put it on Pandora, I can put it on all these streaming sites, but there's so much music on there. People don't care anymore that you're on there because everyone's on there. They want to see how many streams you have. And again, it comes down to money. In order to get streams, you have to advertise. In order to advertise, you have to find someone who's good and not going to steal your money. So it's it's the same thing, different day. It's different. It's just changing slightly and just being modified. So whether it be a label or independent artist, you're still putting forth the money. You're still doing the same exact marketing. It's just you're not getting the return, which is the crappy part. Because when you get 0.07 cents a stream, it's not exactly paying your rent.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But that's why, like, I feel like, people like you are in a good position because I'll give you an example. We had an artist that Greg and I both interviewed, Lauren Davison, who said, enough is enough, and she had this vision in her head about making a country jam with a bunch of local artists, one from Boston, one from New York, one from and it happened, and it was very successful. And I think that's the route that a lot of independent artists should go to, is creating their own type of show with a bunch of their friends, and then kind of like marketing themselves and really taking it upon themselves, and that alone will also generate a lot of buzz, a lot of noise, and then you can send it to your local country station and be like, "Ha, look what we did in your face."
Yes.
We have people that will support us
If
with or
you,
I
without.
mean,
if the
we
artist,
do that. We do that now here, honestly.
yeah.
It still kind of gets lost in the news because it's such a big city and because LA has so much going on. And maybe that'd be the case in like a smaller market. I just feel like we'll do that here, and the only people that really know about it are the country scene, and even them, they're kind of like, all right, cool. Like, for example, Honey County did a great show this weekend, and they are doing the same kind of series where they have all female artists, and they're headlining it, and they're bringing all these great acts in. But at the end of the day, I mean, the only people that really care are the fans and the artists. Even like the media, there's no coverage on it. There's no one at the venues like doing any kind of PR for them. It's all social media. It's all their money that they're spending on it.
Well, and
So
if you don't
it's
have,
hard.
if you're an artist, an independent artist, and if you don't have some money in your pocket when you approach these record labels, they're not going to help you. That's another thing too.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
that sucks too for the smaller artists. That's why I see the day coming where independent or when the big record labels are going to go down, they're going to go under, or they're going to stop and say they're going to be hurting so bad they're going to have to stop and say, okay, we need to figure out what we can do to help these artists without without giving them the shaft or without actually making them look bad. We really need to help them because we haven't we've probably tapped into maybe 1% of all the artists in the world that has some kind of talent. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
and and they don't want to send the talent scouts out to
They don't need to.
yeah, they don't want to. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what these reality TV shows are. They make the people come to them because they don't want to spend the money and send the talent scouts out to look for these talents like they do in Nashville. They send these guys out to the different clubs and bars and stuff like that. On the weekends to see what's out there. You don't have to. You have
They
a
still do that,
no,
really? That's
yeah,
great.
some of them still. Well, some of them just go out to have a good time with their friends or whatever, and they just happen to run into an artist out there, and they say, "Hey, you're great. Come and talk to me or give me a call or whatever." But yeah, the talent scouts know that's why you got The Voice, you got America's Got Talent, you got American Idol. Those are big industries trying to make big bucks, and you also got to be careful too, though, when you sign the contracts with them because
Well,
you never know what you're getting into.
and even with that, like let's say Erin went on American Idol tomorrow and she won, right?
Hmm.
Who do you know who won American Idol last year?
No, I have no clue.
Nope.
Oh,
Exactly,
it's not a thing
exactly,
anymore.
Yeah.
exactly. You can get this quote unquote winner, and then they don't do anything with it. I'm sure that person has to sign a crap ton of paperwork, and that they can't put out certain things, or like they have to go all these fine things for like the first year, and then after that first year, people forget about them. You know. So actually, his name's Lane Hardy. He was the winner last year, but that's what I mean. Is like you'll remember his name when he wins, and he'll be all up in the news and all up in this, and then you forget about them like a month later.
Well, they say the average lifespan for an artist, a good artist, is about 10 years. You know, look at Ray Lynn. I think Ray Lynn was adorable and cute when she was younger because she did real good the first couple of years. Blake kind of took her under her wing, trying to help her out, but you don't hear from her that much anymore. And she always had good music, you know, but she's as these well, and that's another thing too. As these kids get older, when they, you know, it's when they start so young, like what Patsy Cline did and Leanne Rimes did, Taylor Swift, all of them started in their 12 and 13 years old. When you hit that 18, 17, 18, 19, you're going to want to start doing other things. You're a kid, you're thinking about college, you're a teenager, you want to do teenager stuff. You don't want to have to worry about auditions and going to rehearsals and doing gigs and stuff like that. You know, so
I mean, I think it depends on the person, though, because
that too,
if I had that opportunity, I would have 100%. Like that's what I would have been doing during my high school career.
Right. Yeah.
But because I lived in Florida, I didn't have that option. I think a lot of the times these parents are forcing these kids to do it, and that's the problem. It's not necessarily what the kid wants, and that's why you're getting all these kids that just don't want to do it anymore. It's the parents doing, not the kids doing.
Right. Yeah.
But at the same time, with the whole American Idol thing and the momentum, I actually do know that they do have a year contract that they have to sign. That's standard procedure. I've been on a couple of reality shows, and you're forced to do PR and media for either like the first 6 months or the first year. You're supposed to go on like a tour. There's certain tours they have you do. You have to go do the signings, all that stuff. And well, there are people that think it's all great, and you know, if they come to Hollywood, it's amazing, and they're in the limelight, and then they get super burned out because they have no idea what they're getting themselves into. And then they're like, well, I don't want to do this. Or they don't have the money to hire a PR person and continue that momentum, because once you're out of the light, it takes so much time to get and regain that momentum. Like, that's why I love having my songs come out, pretty quickly. Like every, 7, 8 months to a year, I'll do at least one release plus a video.
Right.
Which is very expensive as hell, but you have to keep relevant. And if you're not relevant, you're going downhill. And to build yourself back up to be that relevant, it's almost impossible. It's so expensive.
Yeah.
And they lose that momentum. They're not getting bookings. They're not going and performing shows. They're not making money. And they're like, well, why am I doing this? What am I doing? No one's helping me anymore. My contracts are up. So unless someone's going to come pick me up after your contract expired, they're doing nothing.
Yeah, you're doing nothing, yeah.
Because they're not obligated to give them a label after a certain time frame. They're just there to be like, okay, you're one, like we've gotten you this far, and now go do things. But if they don't want to re-sign you, you're stuck either A, finding a new label, finding someone, like doing all the groundwork you have to do all over again. And they're like, well, I'm from the middle of Kentucky. I grew up with a town of 5,000 people. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Right.
So they give you the tools up until a certain point, and then they're just kind of like, all right, well, that was fun. Just moving on to the next person who wants to be famous and be relevant, and then they fizzle out. It's all about continuing that momentum, and especially when most people are backing you, and it's a lot. It's so exhausting. And I totally get why these kids, like, they don't want to do it, because it's not their dream, and it's not something that they really understand what it is.
Right.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's not all fun and games.
Tell everybody one thing they don't know about Erin Cosgrove.
Oh. I've been doing triathlons since I was 7.
Since you were 7? That's a long time.
I'm a little nuts.
You like to run a lot, don't you?
What?
You like to run a lot, don't you?
Actually, I hate running.
Really?
Yeah, I like to.
So how did you how do you make yourself like running? Because I feel the same
I don't.
thing, and it's important to keep yourself in shape. How do you make yourself like running?
Basically, I make myself run so I can eat what I want, and I don't feel like a fat. That's why I run.
That's exactly how I feel. Oh my
I'm
God.
cussing and cursing and yelling at myself the whole damn room, so I'm doing it.
Wow.
Wow.
You
Oh
only
my
weigh
God.
100. You only weigh 100 pounds, so you have nothing to worry about.
Right now I don't, but I'm still really young, so I mean, I don't know. Once I get to like 40, I'll probably get fat, but I don't plan on it. It's a lot harder.
You ain't never getting
It's
fat.
a lot harder. It's a lot harder because your body doesn't. As a girl, like a female, your body stops producing like estrogen and testosterone, and no matter how much you work out, your body will still retain the fat because our bodies are not meant to continue to stay
Exactly.
hot.
That's why I weigh 600 pounds. That's why I weigh 600 pounds now. Her new single and music video, Perfect Place to Start, comes out March 15th. Erin Cosgrove, everybody on the show today. Yay! It's been a treat to talk with you. You need to come back to Florida or get out of California so you don't have to hang out with the earthquakes anymore.
Yeah.
Or even go to New York, go, do get in that get it. We want to see you on Guiding Light or Well, is it still is General Hospital still on? Yeah, I don't know. No,
It's
the
so
bold,
on.
the bold and the beautiful. There you go.
Ooh.
See?
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
Thank
That
you
would be
for
awesome.
talking with us today, and we'll look forward to the new song. You can get her music, and you can always check out her website at erincosgrove.com. She's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, just about everything, Spotify, just about every social media that you can find her on. So thank you, dear, for talking with us today.
And that's actually ErinCosgroveOfficial.com.
Oh, official. Okay. It's
Yeah.
erincosgroveofficial.com. Okay.
Yes, get that blue check mark right there. Don't
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
yes,
right.
yes.
You have the blue check mark. Yeah, as long as you got the blue check mark, you're good, right?
I think.
Gotta be legit. Gotta be legit.
Gotta be legit. Yes, gotta be legit. All right, dear. Thank you very much. Hang tight. We're gonna go commercial break. We'll be back. Stay tuned.